Hello everyone. Today we'll be presenting one of the project called Bank Marketing Campaign. So Bank Marketing Campaign to open a term deposit is what this project is the overview of this. So me, Jason, and Garrett will be presenting this. Garrett, can you go to the next slide? Yeah. So the hypothesis and problem statement that we are looking for this is that given the data set, we need to predict if a client or customer will be able to subscribe to a term deposit. So for this, we have marketing data that banking sector has done, and banks nowadays do for selling their products, they do different kinds of marketing campaigns. Like if they want to sell savings accounts or maybe credit cards, debit cards, they do different kind of campaigning, right? So like that, we have got a data set for one of the campaigns that they have done. So so using this campaigning data, what we need to do as our machine learning model should it tries to evaluate some kind of patterns in this data, who is trying to based on the different data that we have, who is willing to opt for term deposit. We can use some kind of classification and regression analysis on this data. If you see the data set, Gary, can you go to the next slide? Yeah, so if we see the data set, there are 17 independent variables, and it's a CSV column. We have around 45,000 rows, and so the different columns in this can be categorized into three different categories. So one is, if you see from age till contact, is a general information about the customer. It's nothing dependent on the campaign or anything. It's just demographic information of the customer. And then the next 4 columns from day to campaign, it's telling about the previous campaign that they have done and the data that they have gathered. And the other 4 columns, that's also telling more of the previous campaign data that they have done. Using this data, we are trying to model and say, given a test data set, will the client be able to open a term deposit or not? I'll pause here and I'll pass it to Garrett.
All right, so the model that we chose to use for this problem was a support vector machine, or an SVM, and it will use all of those columns except for the final deposit column as its input, converting the string values to integer representations so that those could be processed by the machine. And so basically the SVM will just draw a line and try to maximize the margin between the classifiers and the line, and then find the support vectors from the each point to the said line. And then the model uses the deposits column as the labels for the classifier and returns a classification of the input based on those labels. And pass it over to Jason.
So for our Gantt chart, week 1, Manavas is going to work on the data cleaning, and I will cover the data visualization. For week 2, Gareth will be covering the data modeling, and Manavas will be covering the training the model. And for the last week, I will test the model, and we will all work on the final presentation. Next slide, Gareth. And then the outcome of our model. So we're going to cover the different classifications of the data based on the deposit label. We are hoping to have a 90% accuracy with the data covered on predicting whether customers will have a deposit. We're going to use cross-validation to kind of test and train it a little bit by testing the first one and then training or splitting the data up, testing the first group and then training the next group with that, and then testing that group and then training the next group. And by the end of it, the trained model can be used on any bank deposit campaign data set.